This podcast is made possible by you, the supporters of WPLN and WNXP, Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's April 9th, 2025. On this day in 1939, Marian Anderson made history by singing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial for a big crowd. It wasn't a rally or a march. It was a concert, a recital. And yet, it was a statement that Black voices matter. Marian Anderson was a powerhouse operatic singer. She was widely considered to be the greatest contralto of her generation. She broke the color line at the Metropolitan Opera. She performed all over Europe. But because she was Black in the Jim Crow era, her American career was full of closed doors. Things really came to a head when Howard University invited Anderson to sing in Washington, D.C. She was so popular that they definitely needed to book a large concert venue. They tried to secure Constitution Hall, which was owned by the DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution. And because of her race, the DAR said no. Their rule, Black audiences only in the balcony, Black performers, not at all. The First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, resigned from the DAR when she heard, and she wrote about her displeasure in her weekly column. And then she helped with the logistics when the president of the NAACP suggested that an outdoor concert at the Lincoln Memorial might be a good option. Anderson and Roosevelt's combined star power propelled the matter to the forefront of national attention at a time when talking about racial problems out loud wasn't really the done thing. And so it was an incredible statement when 75,000 people showed up to hear Anderson sing in an Easter Day program wrapped in a fur coat with a giant statue of Abraham Lincoln as her backdrop. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with historical context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. It's kind of crazy to realize that the Grand Ole Opry was less segregated than Constitution Hall in the 20s and 30s. Not by much at all. But one performer is more than zero, and one of the Opry's biggest stars in the early days was DeFord Bailey, a Black harmonica virtuoso. Of course, even to have a token Black star, it probably made a significant difference that the Opry was a radio show, no visuals. Bailey definitely faced a lot of trouble getting live gigs at venues with white audiences. Once his heyday was over, it took a few more decades for another Black country musician to find stardom. But again, Charlie Pride almost certainly benefited from the dominance of audio-only radio in the 60s and 70s. Audiences didn't necessarily know at first that they were listening to a Black singer, and by the time they did see his face, they were already fans of his songs. All this to say, as I think we all know, country music doesn't exactly have a strong track record of diversity. Just look at all of the fuss over Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter album. Which is why I find some of the stories our senior music writer Julie Height has produced to be so fascinating. There's the rise of Black Opry, of course. It's grown from a group advocating to get artists of color on the Grand Ole Opry stage to a standalone organization promoting Black country music performances across the nation and, as of last year, a record label devoted to those musicians. Then there was the time she accompanied Denisha, chronicling the singer's Opry debut. And her latest story for WPLN is continuing coverage, not just of this overall issue of Black musicians finding a place for themselves in the country music genre, but of a specific program that is bucking the anti-DEI trend. It's called Equal Access, and it's just started assisting a fourth cohort of musicians. Equal Access offers professional mentorship to musicians from demographic groups that are underrepresented in country music. It helps them navigate the complicated landscape. And right now on our website, you can watch videos of artists who are getting a leg up from the group and hear from the woman who pulls it all together. Charlie Pride once said he was a country musician because nobody ever told him music had to be Black or white. He said he just sang what he liked in the only voice he had. There's something really pure and beautiful about that. Whether you look now at Equal Access and the Black Opry, or musicians like Denisha, Shabuzi, or, yes, Beyoncé, that idea still lives on. Of course it does. Because Black musicians have always been a minority in country music, but they've also always been there. in just a few minutes. It's that day of the week again. This week's edition of Where When-sday is coming up after the newscast.
Here's the mantra I think about at WPLN. We connect the dots. It captures a mindset that our journalism is not merely about the latest press release or proclamations by officials. Instead, we can develop expertise, dig deeper, and look to history to understand what's happening now. I'm Tony Gonzalez, news director. When I'm planning coverage and editing stories, the best part is being part of a team that's curious about our community and invested in its future.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. Tennessee physicians and insurance companies could soon deny patients certain medical treatments. The State House passed a measure that would allow doctors, nurses, and insurance companies to refuse procedures that go against their moral or religious beliefs. WPLN's Miriam reports.
Similar measures have advanced in Iowa and Idaho, backed by the lobbyist group the Alliance Defending Freedom. The Southern Poverty Law Center has designated them an anti-LGBTQ hate group. Tennessee's bill is different from the others because it doesn't give the patient notice if their doctor or insurance provider no longer supports a service. Republican Brian Terry of Murfreesboro, who sponsored the legislation, says it's not discriminatory.
This bill has nothing to do with objecting to care based on someone's race, color, sex, religion, or nation of origin.
But advocates still worry about the impact on marginalized communities.
So while it may say that it's only for services and not discriminating against people, it really is a backdoor, I believe, to discriminating against different groups and subgroups of people.
That's Bean Chapman, policy analyst for the Tennessee Equality Project. While abortion and gender-affirming care for minors are already illegal in Tennessee, Chapman says other services, like HIV testing and prevention, could be at risk. Mariana Baca-Yao, WPLN News.
A bill named after one of the victims in the 2018 Waffle House shooting failed to get support in the Tennessee Senate and was pushed off to next year. The bill was sponsored by Democratic Representative Shondell Brooks. Her son, Aquila Da Silva, was one of 4 people killed when a mentally ill man entered a Waffle House in Antioch and began shooting. The legislation would have made it an offense to sell or transfer a firearm to someone who'd been a patient in a mental health facility within 5 years of release. But during Tuesday's Senate Judiciary meeting, the Senate sponsor, Senator Amesh Akbari, seemed unsure if the bill had the votes to pass through committee.
I can't tell what breeze, if it's going cold or hot, but this is a bill that the House sponsors worked extensively on. And so if it's going cold, I would like to move it to 2026 because I want to allow her to continue to make progress in the House. Give me a wink. 2 winks if it's cold.
Rolling the bill means it is still in play for the 2026 legislative session. Prior to the Senate hearing, it seemed the legislation might have rare bipartisan support, at least on the House side, where prominent Republicans like Representative Andrew Farmer and William Lamberth crossed party lines in favor of the legislation. Tennessee lawmakers' efforts to deregulate wetlands is nearing passage. The bill is sponsored by a developer, and it will effectively allow faster and cheaper construction on wetlands. WPLN's Caroline Eggers reports on who has supported the bill.
When it comes to wetlands regulations, the Pacific Legal Foundation is a name to know. The nonprofit law group, which has received funding from fossil fuel billionaire Charles Koch, is known for fighting regulations to benefit special interests, like arguing that the Environmental Protection Agency shouldn't regulate secondhand smoke from tobacco, that EPA shouldn't regulate the pollution that causes climate change, and, more recently, that EPA shouldn't regulate wetlands, in a case that led to a narrow Supreme Court ruling that shrunk federal water regulations.
When addressing environmental regulations, we're dealing with property rights.
That's Colleen Lindgren of the Pacific Legal Foundation. She's one of 3 people to publicly speak in favor of the wetlands bill this year. The other 2 lobbied for homebuilders through the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a group that has fought construction regulations before. Mallory Kirby, a lobbyist for Bass, Berry & Sims, spoke during a state Senate hearing a few weeks ago. She says she represents both the chamber and a group called Build Tennessee Housing.
This bill is ultimately about property rights for Tennesseans, and it raises the bar for the state to tell property owners what they can and can't do with their property.
And here's R.J. Gibson of the Chamber speaking at a State House hearing last week.
Ultimately, it is about protecting the property rights of Tennesseans. It raises the bar for the state to tell property owners.
So, what do they mean? Under this bill, the non-government property owners, in virtually all cases, will be developers. And the right they are being given is to permanently destroy small wetlands across the state, without having to pay for any environmental restoration nearby. They won't even have to alert the state in most circumstances. Since wetland loss can lead to increased flooding, worse water quality, and loss of biodiversity, this means developers will potentially cause significant harm, one little piece at a time, without penalties. Caroline Eggers, WPLN News.
As Tennessee's population booms, the state Senate has passed a bill to protect farmland from development. The bill would establish grants for farmers who get conservation easements on their properties. Those easements prevent the land from being built on, sometimes permanently. Jack Johnson, a Republican from Williamson County, is the bill's sponsor. He told our Daily Show This Is Nashville that many family farmers in Tennessee want to keep working their land, but they're getting offers from developers that are hard to refuse.
I talked to a gentleman from West Tennessee who has one of these family farms that's been passed down from generation to generation. And he said, Senator Johnson, I make $60,000 a year on this farm. I've been offered $20 million. He said, but I want to honor that commitment I made to my parents and my grandparents.
Johnson says the grants won't quite add up to what developers are offering, but they will help make conservation more feasible for landowners who aren't wealthy. Since 2017, Tennessee has lost over 2 counties' worth of farmland to development. Nashville is facing a decrease in visitors from its top international market, Canada. The drop-off comes after President Trump imposed new tariffs on our northern neighbor, and that could have an impact on the city's tourism economy, given that Canadians account for half of Nashville's international visitors. Axios reports that bookings for flights to the U.S. from Canada are down 70% from this time last year. That's after Trump hit Canada and China with a 25% tariff on many of their exports last month. Canada plans to enact counter tariffs against U.S.-made automobiles starting tomorrow. The president has also announced various other tariffs that will apply to most of the world. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. All right, guys, it's time for some fun stuff with a purpose.
I'm Marquise Munson here with another edition of Nashville Public Radio's Where When-sday, keeping you up to date with the happenings in Nashville this week. Live music opportunities begin tomorrow night with Ty Segall, solo acoustic at the Basement East, and Caroline Rose at the Blue Room. On Friday night, Soul Coughing at Brooklyn Bowl. Start your Saturday off with Record Store Day at various record stores across Middle Tennessee, and wrap up the day with WNXP presents STRFKR at Brooklyn Bowl. Wrap up your week Tuesday with the Linda Lindas at the Basement East, and for more events, head over to WNXP.org/events. This week for Where When-sdays, we discussed the disco ball Spellbound happening at Eastside Bowl this Sunday.
My name is Daniel Jones. I'm the producing artistic director of Kindling Arts. The Disco Ball is an opportunity to raise funds for Kindling Arts Festival, which is our annual summer festival that uplifts local artists. This will be our 3rd year hosting the Disco Ball. It's a really fun party. There is an hour of cocktail hour, immersive performances. Then there's a really fun stage program that features a bunch of local artists working in dance, theater, music, drag artists. And then we also have a big dance party at the end to close it out. So it's possibly the best way to spend a Sunday evening. The Queen of the Disco Ball came out of an opportunity to uplift local artists and people who have impacted the local arts community. There are just so few ways that folks in Nashville that are working in the performing arts have a chance to be recognized for what they're doing. And so when we already had this disco ball infrastructure, we decided it would be really fun to crown a queen as part of the ceremony. And it can be someone, we use the term queen in like the most inclusive manner. We accept people from all genders, any background, and it's anyone who's a part of the local arts community and has made a significant impact. And this year we have sourced those nominations from the community. So it's actually from the local arts community that people are saying this is someone who should be uplifted and spotlighted, which is really exciting. Last year, we crowned Shabazz Ujima as our Queen of the Disco Ball. For folks who don't know who Shabazz is, he is an incredible choreographer, community organizer, activist, and performer. He teaches at Nashville Ballet and he runs Shackled Feet Dance, which is an organization that we've been very lucky to partner with multiple times. He's infectious and truly is doing the most for the local community and really uplifting as many people as possible. So he's a great first Queen of the Disco Ball, and then we'll have a chance to crown someone new this year. Spellbound was chosen as the theme for this year's Disco Ball because it actually ties in really nicely with our festival theme this summer, which is Fortunes and Fates. And we were particularly excited by the opportunity to highlight the ways that the arts are a part of enchantment, magical qualities. We love dabbling into the astrological and divination. And so the whole Disco Ball this year is really themed around this sort of like enchanted forest, witches in the woods, definitely has a little bit of like tarot readers in the corners and sort of mystical and mysterious and enchantment going on. It actually is also going to be reflected in most of our performances as well. We have Am Skellers, which is a local theater company, previewing a piece that they're going to put in the festival this year, which is an adaptation of The Crucible called I Saw Goody Proctor with the Devil. So they'll be performing their pop hit, I Saw Goody Proctor with the Devil, at the Disco Ball. We have drag queens performing to Paula Abdul's Spellbound and Lady Gaga's Abracadabra. We have Immigrant, who's a local artist who makes these sort of mysterious, otherworldly performance pieces that are music that kind of examine the immigrant experience through the lens of an alien invasion. So there's a lot of mystery going on. And in addition to the performances on stage, we also have the dance party provided by DJ Amy Darling, and we'll have some immersive theater scenes happening in the backstage area and some dance from choreographer Spencer Grady as well. Folks who are thinking about what to wear, there's sort of a drape yourself in gold and dance in the moonlight. Obviously, we encourage a lot of sparkles and sequins, but also this year has a little bit of sort of the darker qualities and the woodsy qualities as well in a lot of the attire. We're very excited about Kindling Arts Festival this year. It will be another opportunity to highlight all of the cool, experimental, underground local artists. We have at least 5 venues running on the west side, including Oz Arts Nashville, the Dark Horse Theater, the Barbershop Theater, Global Education Center, and Nashville School for the Aerial Arts. And the dates for the festival are July 24th through 27th. There will be festival passes available. And then, of course, folks can attend individual events as well.
For more information about the Disco Ball, Spellbound, and other events happening this week, visit WNXP.org. My name is Marquise Munson, and thank you for listening to another edition of What Where Wednesdays.
Waited out, I tell myself soon everyone will be gone. It's the loneliness that makes me think.
Thanks for listening to the Nash Villager podcast. We take this look at Nashville news every weekday. If you like it, go ahead and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and tell a friend or give us a mention on your socials. It really helps get the word out. And of course, everything at WPLN News is listener supported. You can become a member at WPLN.org. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up tomorrow.